All right, everybody. This is the Digital Craft, the radio show. I feel like I should be talking about this in a very exciting voice because this is an intro with intro music. I should talk about being an underground bunker or being amazing or being at the top of Mount Rushmore or Mount something. But really, we're just going to do a quick break in the music, and then we're going to come in with a subtle, poorly looped track. This is going to get us a little more comfortable towards the topics we're talking about, which is computers, internet, websites, graphic design, programming, music. And this is the start of the show and the end of the intro. Welcome, everybody. This is our first show in a while. I'm doing it solo this time. The other guys are busy at work and college, as far as Jack Carr is concerned. I was going to start out with some news, and since we've done away with commercial breaks because I don't feel like promoting Spreaker since I pay for it, and all they do is play their own ads, and that does us no good, so we'll replace it with music. News. First thing on the docket, which is far away from me and I can't read it because my contacts are foggy. Charity. We are looking into local charities here in Fort Wayne, Indiana that cater towards addiction recovery and trying to find some that aren't government funded or pretty much dumping grounds for the court, which is a problem here in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I won't say that. The courts tend to dump them. I'm using all the wrong words. Dump addicts and such and offenders into these programs that are funded by the people that are dumping them there, and it's a big loop of money and mess, and I haven't seen any good results from any of these places. So we're looking for some place that's more privately funded and needs any help. I think we found a couple that I'm going to try and get some sit downs with and see what they're all about. But anyway, so that's part of it. We're making a little bit more money here. We're not totally self-sufficient, but I don't know. I want to give some of it to something important, and that is important to me, and I know Jack and Justin. And as we just, at least on my end of the world, we just lost one of our friends to that same thing. So anyway, that's what we're doing with charity. I'll fill you in more on how we're going to do that and all that. The other thing is courses. We've talked about courses already before. We have a handful of free courses over on Udemy, udemy.com. Those are basically the series that we have on YouTube, kind of just moved over to the Udemy interface, which I'll talk about the interface in a minute. We also have two paid courses, one by Jack and one by me. Jack is teaching the more basic topics like HTML and CSS. I'm teaching the more advanced topics like PHP and all that jazz. And these courses are different than the free series. I need to stress that. It isn't just a way for us to make more money off of the stuff we've already done. That's not the case. We're putting these courses together as much like college courses as possible, and they're way more detailed and well structured. Along with that, the interface that Udemy has, I'm very fond of. In fact, I thought of it, and then I saw that they did it, and I was a little disappointed because I was going to build it for our website. But they already have a great interface. Basically, when you subscribe to or purchase one of the courses, for one, you purchase that for life. So any updates, additions, whatever changes we make to the course, you are grandfathered into that, which I think is great. The other thing is that when you start the course, you have a nice giant kind of panel on the left that has the video, and on the right you have a bit of a sidebar that has a place where you can ask questions for the instructors, and that panel that they also have a couple of tabs, like a tab to download any materials that we leave for you, like syllabus, or in my case, in the course I just released, the source files for the lectures, so you can get the source code and things like that. Also erratas, or however you say that, any slight mistakes that I need to make people aware of in the code, which in that video there was just one typo that I needed to make sure of. So that's where you find that, and I think that's great. And then there's a third tab which I think is really neat, and it's a note tab where you can basically take notes as you watch, and those notes are saved. Since you sign up for an account on Udemy, they save those with your account, and I believe they timestamp them, so I don't know, it's a really great way to kind of go back to the course, look at your notes. I believe the timestamp actually is not only the time, the actual time you excuse me, the time you took the course, but I believe it's the point in the video in which you wrote the note, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong on that, but either way, it's a really great interface, and I really would definitely like to see some people going over there and checking those out and get some feedback on those courses. We have them definitely modestly priced. Some of the similar courses on there by other instructors are priced quite high. Now, I haven't taken these courses. I've only read reviews, and I'll let you decide. I'm not going to talk good or bad about either one. We'll just leave it at that and let you pick. As much as I would like to continue to make money and make a career out of this, I don't want to do it if you're not learning from me. So if you like my videos and my way of teaching, come purchase our course. If not, there's a bunch of other ones on there too. So the other little bit of news we have is we are working on a new website. It's not, it'll be restructured. The emphasis of this organization, or I guess it's slowly turning into a business as we go. I'm kind of learning as we go. Not learning about business and all that, but learning about what it is I'm actually doing right now. You guys are kind of paving the way for what I'm doing, and I'm kind of following along. So yes, it's kind of turning into a business. But we're putting new emphasis on things like the courses and stuff like that. The YouTube videos pretty much sell themselves. They're free for that matter. That's pretty much sells it. But YouTube does a very good job of promoting those. The website doesn't necessarily need to promote those as much as I am right now. Things like that. So we're going to restructure that, and I might even do a quick video, not series or anything like that, but a quick video on why I chose to do certain things, get rid of certain things, move things around, things like that. What my thinking was behind it from a marketing standpoint, from a business standpoint, things like that. Or maybe I'll do a radio show. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, so that should be interesting. I do that, of course, in the free time I have. I've been doing a lot of private sessions lately, which is great. I'm meeting a lot of interesting people, people all over the world, people now, lately, a lot of people in the United States, which is kind of weird. I thought I'd be teaching people in the United States first, but I've been teaching a lot of people from the UK and other countries, and now I'm finally starting to teach people in the US. and some important people at that, and really, really good. It's good people, good conversation. I love it. I love these sessions. So I do want to point that out. Shameless promotion, that is. These courses are available, or these sessions, that is, are available if you go to the website, thedigitalcraft.com/booking. You can book sessions there, or you can get a hold of us on Facebook or something if there is a slot that you need to fill. If you're in part of the country or part of the world that your time zone's a little distant from mine, I am totally willing to adjust and book something to fit your schedule. So don't be afraid to ask about that. But the courses are great. We've got great feedback on them. Pretty much everybody that we've done courses with have either walked away and finished what they needed to do, or they are repeat offenders. They continue to come back, and that is awesome for us, awesome for them, and we love it. So please take advantage of that if you have the ability to. The cost is $35 an hour, so we keep it pretty low for what it is that we're giving. And at some point soon, when we figure out how we're going to manage it, I know Justin's going to start offering private courses too, for things up his alley, more general computer related things, repair, fine-tuning your computer, networking, IT stuff like that. So as soon as we can do that, we'll let you know, and Jack will be jumping in there too with what he wants to teach. So you'll not only be able to book private sessions with us, but you'll also be able to choose who you want to talk to. So that should be interesting as well. The topic of today, which we're going to get into after our first music break, now that our news is over, is I want to talk about something that kind of came up in one of my recent sessions. Is just the difference between the entrepreneur and the 9-to-5er. We briefly spoke about this in the last radio show when we had all of us on, Jack and Justin and I. But I kind of wanted to dive into that. Excuse the voice. I want to dive into that a little bit more. And so we're going to do that after this music break and after I get a glass of water. So the first track we're going to listen to is from a local band here in Fort Wayne. I love this band. I was actually halfway in the band, except for I dropped the ball and never showed up for the practices because I got busy with work. And they ended up getting a different drummer, and I'm very disappointed because they ended up being a band playing music up my alley, or at least one of the alleys. This band is called Exterminate All Rational Thoughts, sometimes called Ear Thought, and the song is called The Formula. You can find them at eart.bandcamp.com. And they allow you to purchase their album for whatever you think it's worth. And it's a great album. It's a nice EP. And if you know this style of music, sometimes EP for this style of music, the post-rock, post-hardcore kind of vocalist landscape music, sometimes an EP is almost the length of an LP. So whether that's the case or not with this, I'm not totally sure. But anyways, this is The Formula, Exterminate All Rational Thought. They're from Fort Wayne, Indiana. And I'll tell you a little bit more about them once we're done with the break and I get some water. And that was actually a quick one. So I might actually put on the one they recommended to me after I already started playing live. And again, that was Exterminate All Rational Thought, the formula, kind of an intro into their EP, which the EP is called, as soon as I find it, Lighting the Streets. And again, you can find that at eart.bandcamp.com. So that is that. The topic, the entrepreneur, the 9-to-5er. Again, like I said, we talked about this a little bit on the last show, but it was more of a in passing and kind of a spur of the moment discussion. But I spoke with one of the people I teach in my private sessions a little more about this. We kind of shot the breeze a little longer than we probably should have, but really got into a good discussion about this whole thing and the difference between the mindset of the entrepreneur and the 9-to-5er. And I don't even know really where to go with this, except there is a big difference, and when you are one of those who is an entrepreneur and you're around a 9-to-5er a lot, often there's a lot of friction. There's a lot of misunderstanding, and from my experience, I don't think either one of them is wrong or right, unless they try to do the opposite. An entrepreneur spirit or type of person trying to do the 9-to-5 is just not going to work. It's not good. It's not good for you. If you're the type of person who has a brain that's churning nonstop and a desire to do something bigger and better than what you're doing, do it. I mean, if you can. I mean, if it's at the expense of others, that's something you take into consideration. But I hate seeing people who have this ability and this passion, and sometimes not the drive or the confidence to act on it. And a lot of times that comes from the 9-to-5er kind of bringing them down and telling them, this is what you got to do. You got to just break down. You got to get a job. You got to do this. You got to do that. And like I said, sometimes you do. But, don't let that hinder you. If you have to do a 9-to-5, get that over and done with and continue on with the entrepreneur spirit. On the flip side, we need the 9-to-5ers. I'm not putting them down by any means. If you're a 9-to-5er, I commend you. I have no idea how to do that. I don't know how to conform to that. I've had several jobs, and almost every job I've started, they loved me to death when I first started. I was Employee of the Month material within the first few months. And then you add a couple more months onto that, and I was like Employee of the Dump material. I mean, I was bored, tired. I wanted to move on. It was not for me. And especially in a creative atmosphere, there's a lot of, sitting down in a suit and tie to do graphic design and artwork, just, and then confined to that 9-to-5 schedule. And, I'm using 9-to-5 as a metaphor or, kind of generalization, if that isn't clear yet. But, it's, we like I said, we need those 9-to-5ers. They keep the world working, and they keep us entrepreneurs from spiraling into entrepreneur nirvana or something, for lack of better words. I really need to write a script one of these days. Just from my own experience, I've in the last 6 years, I've made tons of mistakes and failed at pretty much everything I did in one way or another. That's not to say I didn't make successes, but in the grand scheme of things, the things I did not pan out the way I wanted. But something that is important is that I didn't quit. and I continued on. Instead of getting down and taking things as failures, I turned them into wisdom and mistakes I used for future progress. It's important. Don't stop. I know many people that let mistakes and failures, stop them, and it sucks. But you know what? I don't know what else to talk about that. It's more of something just to think about. Which one are you? And I'm sure there's a bunch of gray area in there. But I don't know. It's just a topic that it's been brought up quite a bit. I deal with it personally, and I don't know. I'm actually more interested to hear what other people have to say about it. Post things on Facebook about it. I don't know. Tell me who you are. Are you an entrepreneur, a 9-to-5er? You fit in this industry, whether graphic design, web design, video editing, all that stuff. You can be a 9-to-5er and fit in perfectly. In fact, you're very important. But you can also be an entrepreneur in this industry and do things your way, as long as you do them and learn from when your way doesn't work. Learn a better way. But anyway, again, I should start writing scripts. I come in with a topic and a couple jotted notes and kind of go from there. And with that, I'm going to move to the next track, which is an artist that I had just met while getting that tattoo on my hand that I posted earlier. A guy named Ezra Starr. This track is called Love/Hate Mix. It features Cassie Cash, E-Way, and Ezra Starr. And I'm going to play that for you. After that, we're going to talk about some other things like jQuery, what it is, what it isn't, and some other similar things like that. And I just got a comment from John, said he sleeps from 9 to 5, and that tells me he's an entrepreneur. And with that, this is Love/Hate Mix, featuring Cassie Cash, E-Way, and Ezra Starr, another local act here from Fort Wayne, Indiana. You can find them at reverbnation.com/Ezra Starr and download some tracks and listen to them. But here's one of theirs.
With me before we come enemies, like what you mean is fine with me. So please stop calling, texting me, cause this is not MTV. But like I said, don't get comfortable, just flee. Now I kicked you to the streets and niggas just ain't get pennies. But you better put down the heat, cause when you break my heart we through. And you know that shit ain't cool, but I'm gon' keep it on the move. Never knock yourself up off the group, let's make it happen. Straight like my boo thing, stay packing. Cause I love your haters, stayed up acting. But I love you so much, it's like magic. And got them stars up in your eyes, kept me laughing. And most of all, you made my day. Oh, I'm not crying. Sliding the things up in this thing, I'll get to riding. I don't really care, man, if you liking me or not. Cause when it's coming from my heart, oh, believe we make it happen.
stick to the veins, followed by hate. All the thoughts up in my head, I try to ride them down at 8. Keep my life up straight, that's why I'm shooting for the top. Can't stop me, boy, that's why I'm known to go off. I found myself getting mad, so I ask God for a hand. Dear Lord, come and save me from the devil within. I'm trying to make it to my destiny. You will get the best of me. I'm focused on this path to the death of me. Look into my eyes, all you see is pain, integrity. Take a shot of liquor, now I'm thinking where I better be. Focus wise, 100 guys, quantize 100 pies. Reloading, I run the time, run it back, I need a dive.
To the sky, together we would fly. Captain Kirk high. Now you gone, I'm all alone. Girl, thanks you got me in a new zone. The other day you was cool though. Now you acting on noodle. My APT is cold, and the nigga being bold. Even though you wanna fly, baby, you can come home. What's the hell about your face? I had to demonstrate. You had a shake I paid. Then throw them cars I paid. Still can't believe you gone. No lie, I'm kinda thrown. You put that ass up on my chest and then you ripped it off. No pain, I'm walking off. Man up, I face them all. Even though I got these chicks on me, don't mean I want the prize. You doing what you do, I'm doing what I do. Grown man popping tags just to the new. Ask me if it's true that I miss my girl. Nice, Jack, you rock my world.
Alright, everybody. That was the love/hate mix. Cassie Cash, E-Way, and Ezra Starr. The track was, I believe, produced by Ezra Starr. Ezra Starr is the person that I just met recently, and he sent me some tracks, which we will hear some more later on. Sorry. Still trying to get my voice together. As promised, the next topic, and really the only other topic on my scribbled down notes, jQuery. I want to talk about jQuery because I'm going to start doing some videos on jQuery, and the first video I do, or videos, are going to be free. They're going to be on lost my train of thought, YouTube, along with all the other ones. And I'm going to show you how to make a kind of either an image slider or a lightbox, or actually maybe even kind of the two ideas put together. But with that, like I said, I'm using jQuery to do that. And I get a lot of question about what jQuery is, and I get a lot of questions that are asked in a way that it's obvious, and this is no offense to anybody at all, trust me, but it's obvious that there needs to be a little more explanation as to what jQuery actually is, what a framework actually is. A popular question is should I learn JavaScript or jQuery, or which one should I learn first, and or should I learn Ajax before I learn those? And these are things that need to be kind of clarified. First off, JavaScript is kind of the base of both Ajax and jQuery. jQuery is not necessarily a language. as much as it is a framework, and I'll explain what a framework is. Ajax is less of a framework and more of a theory, or not even a theory, a method. Kind of a process, a way of doing things. So, and it's with a combination of a couple different technologies. So jQuery is a framework of JavaScript. In layman's terms, somebody wrote something that makes JavaScript easier. And that's what jQuery is. The folks that wrote jQuery wrote this in a way that you can utilize a lot of the great features of JavaScript without having to know how to write pure JavaScript. And it's not just that, it's without having to write a lot of the stuff that you don't necessarily need to write. They kind of took care of all the general stuff so that you're not wasting time by writing a whole bunch of JavaScript that you don't need to write. And really the best way to see this is an example, which I can't do over the radio, but when the question is asked, do I learn JavaScript first or do I learn jQuery? This is one of the rare exceptions where I will actually tell you that I recommend learning jQuery. Not necessarily first. You have to understand at least the basics of JavaScript, the way it looks, the syntax, so you can kind of, so you can navigate it. But for the most part, jQuery is written in its own little way within that. So as long as you understand the syntax of JavaScript, you can start learning jQuery. And I would almost never recommend you learning the easy way before learning the hard way. But in this case, jQuery was written so well and maintained so well as a framework. And there's other frameworks out there, but jQuery has done so well that not only are they pretty much the standard when it comes to frameworks for JavaScript, but you can pretty much do anything you need to do within jQuery. And jQuery isn't necessarily easy, but it's simple enough that you can understand it. It makes sense. It's legible, whereas JavaScript fails in some of those areas, and not necessarily to the seasoned programmer, but to those who are new to this, jQuery reads way easier. It makes more sense. The correlation between jQuery and HTML and CSS, being able to see what you're doing, which is basically querying or looking for an element on a page, which is given an ID or a class, and you're telling it to do something to that. Find the header and then do something to it. Make it slide in from the left, or find this form and make it pop up like a neat little dialog box. Stuff like that. That's where the query comes from. You're basically looking on the page for something, and this is when you tend to use IDs over classes when you want to specify one specific element on the page, and that's where you would use an ID. But you can also use jQuery with classes if you want to affect multiple things on a page. For instance, one project I worked on, I can't get into too much of the detail of it, but let's just say they were a grid of circular items. I have to be very general so I don't get myself in trouble, but a grid of circular items that could be dragged and dropped into little tabs. The tabs were categories, and so you can move things from category to category. And in that case, we use both classes and IDs. The little circular object itself had a class, and we referred to it by its class because they needed to be the same, and we needed to refer to items similar to that and make them draggable. So that's where we use class. But then to tell the database which category to move this circular item or what category to move it into, we needed to give each one of those circular items its own ID. So each of those had an ID and a class. The class was general. We'll just say the class was circular item, and the ID was circular item underscore, and then the ID number that correlates with the database. And then we use PHP to strip out that number and such, and some other stuff, and stuff that's outside of this discussion. But that was my best way to generalize something that I cannot speak of specifics on as far as the project itself, but also my best way of describing something without actually showing it. But that is what jQuery is. It is a framework that sits on top of JavaScript, for lack of better words. All you need to do is link to or download the jQuery source code and make sure that it's in the header of your document, that you have it loaded before you try to do anything with jQuery. If you try to load jQuery at the bottom of your page and affect items that are at the top of your page, it's not going to work that way. So you basically load jQuery, and then all the resources are there for you. The other neat thing about jQuery is that because it's so good, it's been around for a while, and people have learned how to use it, manipulate it, since it's open source. And people have also built, I don't even really know what to really call them, apps, plugins, things like that. You can search for pretty much almost anything you need, whether it be an image slider, slideshow, cropping tools, not not for corn or vegetables, but for images. And I don't know, anything that you can think of that you can do, dragging and dropping things, anything interactive you can think of, there's probably already at least one person or developer who has developed something, a plugin that is open source, or some of them are paid, but most are open source. And you can take these and not only take them, but because they're open source, you can take them and manipulate them. On that general project that I was explaining, that I can't give details on, we also used an image cropper, which I had to go through 3 or 4 before we found the right one, but I had to go through and completely strip it down and redesign it. Not necessarily the programming of it, there's very little of that. It was actually well done, but I had to redesign it with CSS and HTML to make sure that it fit with the page. It fit with the actual product. The product I can't talk about. So hopefully that clears up jQuery a little bit. And then Ajax, again, that is a method more than anything. I'm sure there's a better term for it. But Ajax is something you can do with jQuery or with JavaScript. But it's with either one of those in a combination of XML or JSON or something like that. Basically, the idea is Ajax was to replace Flash. Not necessarily replace it, but as an alternative to bringing content on a page without having to reload the page. You reload an area of the page instead, giving it that real life, or like that kind of desktop application feel, which you're now seeing on pretty much everything now. Anything Google, your Google Mail, your Google Docs, your Google this, Google that, basically. And what I'm using right now, actually no, I think this is Flash, so I lied. But this little dashboard I have for this radio show, but just a lot of the stuff you do, if you notice that the page isn't reloading and you don't right click on it and see something that says Flash, there's a good chance it's using Ajax. And again, Ajax isn't a language, it's a way of doing things. So what you do is basically use jQuery, for instance, to look at a bunch of data, pull from it, and then replace what was on the page already with that. And that was I just realized that's a really hard thing to describe without visuals. So I'm definitely going to have to do that along with the jQuery videos. And like I said, I'm going to do a jQuery video using a friend of mine's website that I'm wrapping up. It's actually the singer of one of my bands. He's an artist nonetheless, but a sculptor more than anything. And he not only sculpts, but he also replicates. He has a 3D scanner and a 3D printer, so he can actually sculpt little figurines and scan them in, which turns them into a 3D model on the computer. And then the printer, which I know it's a weird term for it, but and maybe there's a better term for it, but that's what I like to call it. Basically takes plastic and heats it up just to the point before it burns, because we don't want burnt plastic, but it basically layer by layer takes this plastic and rebuilds the image or the 3D model that was scanned in. So you have a direct copy of the actual sculpture he made. So that's the website that I'm working on, and I'm going to use jQuery to help display some of his showcased items. And he's given me the approval, which goes along with free promotion for him and his shop, which he sells his handmade items as well as his replications through the website and through eBay. So we're going to do a video while I make that. And so it'll be like one video, 2 videos tops probably. And it'll be free videos over on YouTube. So it's going to be videos that it'd be good to watch to see what you can do with jQuery if you've never used it. But if you actually understand jQuery and want to learn how to use it in that fashion, then it's going to be great for that too. But ultimately, we'll do a course over on Udemy that tackles jQuery, from the ground up, or as we like to do, start to finish. And so look for that. But jQuery is definitely something that I haven't touched on yet, and we've definitely had a lot of people asking to touch on that. So that is what we're going to be doing soon here. And I say that a lot, but that's going to have to be really soon because I have to get his website done. So that puts me under the gun there. So with that said, keep an eye out for that. I'm going to play another track, and this is from a band that we played on either the last episode or maybe an episode previous to that. I don't know. But this is a band that's from Fort Wayne. As far as bands go, one of my bands basically grew up with this band as far as in the local music industry. They ended up getting signed to a national label, Alive Records. So that's pretty cool for us anyways in our big little small town, Fort Wayne. But this is Left Lane Cruiser. They're signed to Alive, and I'm only allowed to play the music that they recorded before Alive signed them. So this is a track off of their album Getting Down on It, and it is called Pork and Beans.
Pork
pork and beans.
And that was Pork and Beans by Left Lane Cruiser, a band from Fort Wayne. I don't know if they're still here right now. I know they still live here, I think. But I have a feeling they're out on the road at the moment. And again, they are signed to Alive Records. You can find them at reverbnation.com/Left Lane Cruiser. You can find them on Facebook. Their page is not as easy. I would just type in Left Lane Cruiser. They never made a URL for that. They've never been one to get up on the internet promotion. They don't really need it. They do a good job promoting themselves. But yeah, welcome back to the show. We're almost done, but I was going to talk about one other thing that came up in a private session the other day, and that was the question of whether this person should continue learning HTML4 or start learning HTML5. And, really the answer to that, or at least my take on it, you have to actually understand that while HTML5 is a new version, a lot of what the average web designer is going to use it for, it's more of a facelift. One of the biggest things they did as far as a designer is concerned, because I say that way because there are a lot of really neat features that go well beyond the designer realm and more into the programming realm with the canvas and video and all that. But from a designer's point of view, what they did was they looked at, once we stopped using tables for layouts and we started using divs, they pretty much looked at it, although I'm, assuming this is what they did, but it makes sense to me. They pretty much looked at what are the main elements that almost every web page has. What are these web designers making? What are these static elements like headers and footers and content sections and sidebars, things like that. And that's when I call a facelift, when I say they did a facelift, really to the designer, one of the most important things is to realize that they added a header tag, a footer tag, a nav tag, a tag for sidebar, but it's not sidebar, it's called a side, one word. So don't try to make a sidebar tag. That won't work. Then there's some other ones like section and article, and those can kind of be used however you want. You can use those as kind of your content area, and then article being kind of, blocks of content, individual content. Those are kind of, you can use any of these things the way you want. They're basically just like a div. They're an empty container, an empty box with no properties. But you give them properties, just like you would any other tag in CSS. It just makes the HTML a lot cleaner. You can navigate the page, or at least the source code, way easier. It's good for you, the designer. It's good for anybody else that needs to get into that page and look at it. So, it's worth looking at both angles. Continue learning HTML. We still have to, HTML4, if you want to call it that. Really, just HTML is HTML. Start incorporating the HTML5 elements and start learning about that. But really, we still have to use divs, and we still need to give them classes. And even these new tags that we have, they don't really eliminate the need for using classes. Sometimes, what if you want to have two sidebars? You're going to need to differentiate between the two of them. So you're going to have to start using classes and IDs at that point to use the CSS to tell, this sidebar or this aside tag is going to be on the right and this one's going to be on the left, and so on and so forth. But to sum that up, bottom line is that HTML has not necessarily changed in any drastic way. They just added some things. It's more of a facelift. Excuse me. And that is from the design point of view. Again, there are a lot of features that are new and pretty amazing. But from a designer's point of view, the real amazing stuff is actually more within the CSS3 realm, where we can do gradients, drop shadows, rounded corners, which it's like I don't even want to tell you that, because as someone who's had to do rounded corners with images and other methods in the past, it's like a secret I don't want to tell anybody that doesn't know that you can simply do that with a property called border dash radius and then give it a pixel value. You know, not only that, but you can specify, just like you do margin and padding. You can say, oh, I just want the top left to be rounded at 5 pixels. The rest can be, 0 pixels, basically straight, thus giving it a little character. So really, that's what I mean. Like the really beefy, cool stuff is in CSS3 when it comes to a designer. And when it comes to HTML5, it's a facelift. There's some new tags that eliminate the need to make divs with the class name, a header, things like that. Kind of cleans things up. There's also some new features within the input, form tags in general, or tags within a form, like the input tag. Things like placeholder. That's a property now within a text box and a text area. You can actually, instead of using a buttload of JavaScript to put a placeholder text in, like, put your name here, ... and when you click on it, that disappears, type of thing. Now all you need to do is give that input tag the property of placeholder equals put your name here, ... and it'll do the same. So you eliminate the need to pull your hair out if you've got it. Learning how to do the JavaScript to make that happen. So definitely explore that. Maybe we'll talk about HTML5 and CSS3 a little bit, more in depth in another episode. Before I go, I'm going to note that I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to end this show with music, which that's not different, but I don't feel like I gave the Exterminate All Rational Thought Band enough airtime for the style of music they play. I played basically an intro, and that was a mistake. So I'm going to play part 1, part 2, and part 3 from their EP, and I'm going to play them in succession. So that'll add another good 20 minutes probably to the show. So that's up to you if you want to listen. But for those of you who like the post-rock, post-hardcore kind of landscapey kind of feel of things, this is the way it should be played, 1, 2, and 3 all together. So I'm going to do that. But really think about the whole entrepreneur and 9-to-5er thing. Again, I'm looking at John's comment about how he sleeps from 9 to 5, and really, if you do that, that generally means you're probably either you're a third shift 9 to 5er, or you're the entrepreneur. Which, just yesterday I was trying to sleep 9 to 5, didn't make it, but I was trying, so I was doing the same thing John was doing. But anyway, that's all for our show today. This is the Digital Craft Radio Show. You can find us at thedigitalcraft.com. You can book private sessions with me at thedigitalcraft.com/booking, or you can just go to the website and click on private training. If you need special hours outside of the hours on the site, you can always Facebook us, send us a message. Either myself, Justin, or Jack will get back with you and work with you on that. And again, soon here, once we figure out the specifics of it, how to manage the money without us wanting to kill each other and all that, and all those fun things with running an organization, business, whatever this is. Once we figure out all that stuff, all those specifics, we'll have Justin and Jack also doing private sessions. So you'll have the ability to choose them or me when booking. So I guess that's it. This is the Digital Craft Radio Show, the only show where you can smoke and drink and you don't have to be 20 feet away from me. That's an Indiana joke. Anyway, so we're going to end this show with Exterminate All Rational Thought from Fort Wayne, Indiana. They are eart.bandcamp.com. That is where you can find them and buy their album for what you think it's worth. And I think it's worth a lot, or at least what an album's worth. And we're going to play part 1, part 2, and part 3 in succession as we close out this show. So thanks again for watching. Like us on Facebook if you haven't already, but if you are listening to the show, you probably already have. So anyways, I'm going to shut up. Here comes music. Exterminate All Rational Thought, part 1, followed by part 2 and part 3, and that will be the end of the show. Thank you. Again, that was Exterminate All Rational Thought from Fort Wayne, Indiana. And you can find them at eart.bandcamp.com. Buy their album, listen to some tracks. This is the Digital Craft Radio Show. I am Alan Quant, the unprepared host who scribbles down notes. We will see you guys later. Goodbye.